Okay, so let's talk about flooding. I'm kind of hurting, so y'all will have to bear with me. I've had several clients that have feral dogs here lately, or dogs with extreme amounts of fear, and I have to explain this a lot. I am not going to take your dog and force them to interact with me because it does not help the situation. I don't want your dog in shutdown because owner sees their dog and dog goes, okay, well, I'm comfortable because dog is not panicking, not running around. They're frozen beside me, wide-eyed, or head down, ears down, and in a ball. Or because there's certain situations they want to just take their dog and immerse them in it, and occasionally the dog goes okay. But as soon as the dog is by themselves, dog shuts down completely, panics with even just the owners, and does fine when there's other dogs around. So let's talk about what's going on here. Flooding. Flooding is what happens when a dog does not know how to handle something. Someone who is scared of spiders, throwing them into a room full of spiders, or who is scared of snakes, making them hold a snake, or bringing a snake near them, or a bunch of snakes near them, does not help them at all. We don't throw kids in the deep end of the kiddie pool or the deep end of the swimming pool anymore because we know that's dangerous if they don't know how to swim. They can drown. They won't trust us, and it will cause all kinds of mental health as well as physical issues if our kid does drown. So we don't do that anymore. We teach them how to swim in the shallow end. We get them used to splashing around where they're not scared of water at first. Unless we're, just total knobs, and then we throw them in, and, then the kid, never trusts us again and learns not to look to you and starts handling things on their own and ends up behavior problems later on. But, that's a whole nother story. Um, we want to teach our dogs, like we do our kids, that we're going to give them floaties, we're going to give them coping skills, and slowly work them out into the deep end. We're not going to just make them deal with it. Doesn't work. Causes 10 times more issues. Short term, you might get some improvement, but long term, mm-mm. And this happens because I see owners all the time wanting to get in a hurry. Sorry, gotta rotate. I can't sit in one position too long because it burns. But what happens is owner takes dog out, and dog might be okay around other dogs, around other people, might even show interest in other people because there's other dogs around. There's safety around them. But as soon as that dog's taken away, dog panics because the dog doesn't trust you. It's the other dogs they trust. And the whole basis of training and relationships for feral dogs is getting dogs out of their head and to trust you. If your dog does not trust you, we're wasting time. You are trying to force your dog based on your feelings to do things that you think the dog should do that the dog is not comfortable with. You're not teaching anything. You're teaching the dog not to trust you is the only thing you're teaching. So if I ask you to remove a dog that is not the dog we're working with, and your feral dog or your anxious dog loses their mind, throw themselves at the door, screeches, runs away from you, or just goes into shutdown and hides, we're starting there. We're not starting on having your dog work with me with your other dog in the area. Do not want to do it. Do not have any interest because it is not my job to force a dog to tolerate a situation when it's not ready. My job is to teach your dog that you are the person they should turn to, that the world is safe, that they can trust you, and that they don't need to panic ever. Not only when they're around your other dogs. This seems to be a thing. We're an instant gratification society, and this is probably one of the hardest things for people to comprehend. It can take months, 6, 7 months, longer, for a feral dog to get comfortable, or an anxious dog to get comfortable with a situation or a person. My own Rottweiler took 2 years. 2, as in 24 months, of me going to my vet's office, sitting in the parking lot, and feeding my dog treats. But we didn't start there. We started sitting down the road from my vet's office, looking at my vet's office, and getting him used to the idea that the vet's office wasn't going to cause him to panic. We played look at that. We played, hey, look, that's not going to eat you. Until he was okay with the idea that, when we got near the vet's office, good things was going to happen. And we got him used to the idea of a muzzle. Once he got used to the idea of a muzzle, things kind of progressed. Then we started meeting my vet outside of her work. And we played, let's walk through the park and let's see my vet walk through the park. And every time she walked through the park, it rained mozzarella and cheddar. I broke it down into 1,000,000 steps. Now, my dog, when he sees a vet, he trusts me. He trusts whoever is handling him. He doesn't panic. He doesn't worry about what's going on. He knows that there's a possibility for pokes and prods when we're at the vet. If Brian is handling him, he does the same. He looks to him. He doesn't panic. He doesn't urinate. He doesn't defecate like he used to. He doesn't growl. He doesn't ball up in the corner. He doesn't require medication for it. What he does require is me taking my time. This is the same thing with a lot of dogs. A lot of people will see immediate improvement for a little while on medications, and then the dogs plateau. There's a reason that you're supposed to work closely with your trainer and with your behaviorist or your vet, so that these all fall in line. Because if I'm working with your dog and you're reporting, hey, no house accidents. Hey, we're not screaming in our crate anymore. Hey, we're good. And I'm going, okay, we're in an initial stages of medication. It's not going to last very long. And that's the hard things for owners to understand. They get excited and they were like, well, let's just go take them for a walk. They're not ready to go swimming in the deep end at this point. This is the point where we start teaching them coping skills. We start trust exercises. We start getting them used to stuff. It takes time. It's not something that really is easy to do. When people get these dogs, they have this idea that they're just going to, make it all better and love them enough. That's great. You can love them. But if you're not working with your dog on coping skills, you're not helping them at all. Because these are the dogs that if you aren't working on coping skills, what's going to happen is as we get working through things, your dog is either A, going to make progress because you're following everything, or B, you're going to cause a setback because you're not listening. And you're not following what is being asked of you. which means you're not listening to your dog. Because I'm not there for your dog or for you, I'm there for your dog. I'm there to advocate for your dog and help you take your dog through the therapy that your dog needs. That's probably the most important thing. It's the same thing with excitable dogs that are super excited, and these owners just want instant results. And they're not willing to teach their dog coping mechanisms, to go close to targets that overexcite them, to teach them to calm down before they move forward. Those are the ones that you see go out and throw a shock collar on their dog to teach their dog that if you dare get excited about something, I'm going to hurt you. Makes me sad. I have 2 Rottweilers. I have 4 Great Danes. I don't have to use force with them. When my puppy gets excited, going towards a trigger, we're going to stop, we're going to slow down, we're going to take it back until he calms down. I'm not going to go forward. I might spend a week sitting outside somebody's house if I'm wanting to go to a friend's house and my dog gets too excited to get there, teaching them that until they chill out, lay down in the grass, calm down, and stop being so focused on the house, we're not going anywhere. Coping skills when a dog is being flooded with they're getting all these sensory triggers coming in are super important. Keep this in mind. It's not something that a lot of us think about. We're like, oh, they'll be okay. Let's just go over to so-and-so's house and let's go do this. No, they won't. Everybody meets my dogs and they're like, your dogs are amazing. Yeah, they are. But it's not because I forced them to cope with situations that they weren't ready for. There has been times that I have went to take my dogs somewhere. We've loaded up. We've gotten the car. We've gotten to the end of my driveway, which my driveway is 1/4 mile long. And my dogs were so overstimulated. I turned around and I came back home. And we sat there. And we hung out. And then we walked to the end of my drive on leash. Got them used to the idea. Came back. Got in my car. Tried it again. And if that didn't work, I had one of my dogs, not going to use any names here, Bubba, Baxter, who I used to sit in my car in my driveway and just pretend I wasn't going to go anywhere while he was like that. So I'd just pretend we were going to go somewhere. Until hanging out in the car became something that was every day for him. Once he got comfortable, I actually put him in the car because I sat in the car. That's the key here. I sat in the car. He sat outside. And then he got in the car. And when it wasn't excitable anymore, then we got to go. That's habituation, though. That's a little different than flooding. Flooding's taking all the scary things and throwing them into one mix for a dog and expecting them to compensate and tolerate. And it's not fair and it's not okay. You wouldn't throw an arachnophobe in a room with spiders. You wouldn't tell somebody that was scared of planes to just get on a plane. I mean, you might, but you're going to endanger everybody around them. Because they might panic in the middle of being, out and about because they can't tolerate it anymore and try to open a door. Jump out of airlock. That's where we see aggression in dogs, when they get to that moment when they're flooding. Or they've been flooded. They can't tolerate it anymore. I try to explain this to people. And it makes me so angry when I can't seem to communicate this to them. that they want to have everything go perfect with their dog. And it never, ever works the way that you think it's going to. I had one client who her jaw about dropped when I told her it was probably going to be about 7 months worth of work with her dog. And that was just a guesstimate. Because I watched her dog panic and run for 23 minutes while I ignored this dog completely. I don't think people realize that. When I got there, the owner's holding the dog, and this dog is just flailing, trying to get away. My response was, put your dog down, let him go. It took 23 minutes for this dog to stop running and doing circles while I ignored this dog and threw food. And even then, this dog was not comfortable, and this was on anxiety medication. This dog had no trust for its parents at all. Finally, dog came in behind mom, where it wouldn't even let me in line of sight, and shook in a ball, just shaking, and it made my heart break. And this is something that makes me mad. Rescues, if you have dogs like this, warn the people. Don't tell them that they're going to be able to take their dog and do their thing when it's feral. That's not fair to the owner. That's not fair to the dog. I understand feral dogs are hard to home. I get it totally. Don't do this to people. It's not nice. Don't do this to dogs. It's not nice. Because these type of dogs take a very specific environment where they can sit down without any triggers and have small introductions to sounds happen. Small introductions to the things that are going to be in their environment happen. It is so different from having a regular dog. Don't do this, please. Flooding takes time, it takes energy, and it makes me crazy. Because when I see a dog that's in this state, I just want to hug it, and I know I can't, because that is the absolute worst thing I can do. Not what we want to do, not what we need to do. We don't want to create a mess. Peace out. Happy training.